Hello and welcome to Top Hat Talks. I'm your host, the Coaster Crazy Guy.
Joined by me, UK Frills, and this is our debut episode of Top Hat Talks. Here's a bit about us. We started this podcast as we often debate over all things coaster related and thought we'd get a wider range of opinions from all of you guys.
Today we're going to be delving deeper into what makes a good coaster, from theming to thrills to just pure fun. We'll even get to hear from you as well.
So sit down, pull down your restraints and brace yourself for a wild ride.
But before we begin, let's talk about some recent news in the theme park industry, starting with the opening of Siren's Curse.
Yes, so Siren's Curse is the first ever new generation tilt coaster made by Vekoma. It opened just a few days ago on the 20th of June and all the reviews have been positive. Many are saying the vest restraints make the hanging so comfortable and the ride is gloss smooth with on-ride audio making the experience even better.
Going from Cedar Point to Blackpool Pleasure Beach, the park have announced that they are upgrading their Wallace & Gromit Thrill-O-Matic indoor dark ride with 5 new scenes, including popular characters like Norbot and Feathers McGraw. The £5.25 million investment also revamped the queue and retail areas. This comes after the release of the new Wallace & Gromit movie, Vengeance Most Foul.
Heading down south now, in recent weeks, deconstruction of Wild Asia is heavily underway, with diggers spotted tearing down buildings and the site looking like a battlefield covered in debris, in preparation for the new Minecraft area coming in 2026.
That's exciting. Now time for my favourite piece of news this week. Sega are evaluating creating a Sonic the Hedgehog theme park in the US. The move is due to Sega trying to expand into more location-based entertainment, on the heels of successes like Super Nintendo World at the newly opened Epic Universe.
And for our final piece of news this week, things are looking exciting over at Six Flags Qiddiya City with many adverts being released and almost all rides seen testing, including the centrepiece attraction Falcon Slight Split at the base of a 640-foot climb.
Wow. Quite a while ago now, I asked you guys on my Instagram account your thoughts on hydraulic launches. Are they a dying breed or something that we could potentially see on the horizon again someday?
Here are some of the responses. Echo Theme Park said, "Give it 5 years and they'll sadly be a thing of the past." Galactic Guy 603 said, "Yep, I don't like them. They should die. Pride and Furious backup is a death wish."
Launches, Loops and Lap Bars said it's only a matter of time before they're all gone, but some could get renovated by Zamperla or Intamin.
That's a fair comment actually, although looking at Top Thrill 2, Zamperla will not be a very respectable choice. After closing for the whole year, it only operated for a grand total of 8 days, so I think Intamin should look at new ways to recreate the same feel of a hydraulic launch that is more sustainable and will last for many more years than the older generation.
I agree, I think Intamin should be the first choice, but we can also see how Zamperla brought it back after the closure, and I don't think they'll make that mistake again. It's anyone's guess really, and we'll just have to wait and see what happens in the future.
So next time the question will be, are Disney parks getting too expensive for what it's worth?
Let us know.
And now for the main event. What really makes a good coaster? Is it the theming, the experience, or pure thrills?
Let's find out. So to start with, let's talk about the layout and elements. I think having a solid layout and decent elements are the main factor that makes a good coaster, simply because without them there'd be no ride to enjoy.
Yes, but on a ride you could have the best elements in the world, but if you have loads of mid-course brake runs and a straight section, that would ruin the pacing and lead to a horrible ride.
That's fair enough. I mean, there aren't many ride experiences that have too many blocks other than Wild Mouse style rides that dampen the ride experience. I feel that even though a standout layout is a major feature, theming can really add to the enjoyment as well. For example, Velocicoaster would be much more widely considered as better than Pantheon, even though the rides are extremely similar. The main difference is theming.
Well, for me, I don't really mind if a ride has theming or not, obviously it boosts the ride experience. While I've never ridden Pantheon, I'd rank it very close to Velocicoaster as the pacing and elements all seem incredible, but it's all up to personal preference.
Okay, let's put this theory to the test. I'm going to give you 3 would you rathers between a coaster with great elements but no theming, or the other way around. Number 1, Tron at Walt Disney World versus Stealth at Thorpe Park.
Very easy choice for me. Stealth, as I think Tron seems way too short and a mid layout in general, compared to the fastest accelerating launch in the world and soaring up to 205 feet with a jet to air time.
Okay, so Tron is too short, but a 2-element coaster is the perfect length.
Well no, Stealth is way shorter in time and track length. but the pure thrill of the launch, top hat, and airtime build are more favourable than the modern Disney ride that is just a themed experience with nothing too special. While I've never rode Tron, I'm very familiar with the ride and it slows down right after the first launch, and that would ruin the ride for me.
Bit dramatic, I feel that people obsess way too much over trims. I mean, obviously I would prefer not to have them, but they would definitely not ruin an entire ride. Anyway, number 2, Orion at King's Island or Fly at Phantasialand.
Ooh, that's a hard one. I will go for the themed option this time, as Fly looks like it's an incredible ride on its own, but the near misses and steam effects all look like they make the ride better, but Orion does look like a good ride as well.
So we're pretty divided between theming and layout at the moment. Okay, final would you rather of this topic. Odyssey at Fantasy Island or Nemesis Reborn at Alton Towers.
Wow, well you really picked 2 rides that are hard for me to rank, as I've not ridden either of them. Well, I will say that I've heard from a certain someone that Odyssey is actually smooth for an SLC, but compared to Nemi, I've never heard a complaint about it being rough, only the rattle it has. Nemesis is however a really small in height compared to Odyssey, but I think the deciding factor for me is Nemesis' good theming that really puts it up there.
I understand that, they are both great rides.
So, with that out of the way, it's my turn to ask you some questions. Let's say you had a theme park and you had a choice of 2 rides. What would you choose out of a tilt coaster that would cost so much that you couldn't add any theming work, or a generic invert coaster that can be heavily themed with the budget you have?
I'd probably go for the invert, just because they're more widely used coaster type. That does not mean that they are not fun. They are still pretty fun and have some great elements. By themselves, they could be a little generic, but you could make a great experience and story to fit to one.
Fair enough. Next question. We have 2 really good rides, but one is a made up storyline, such as Nemesis, or an IP coaster like Soul or Velocicoaster. Which one would you choose?
That depends on the IP really. If it's an IP I can relate to, then yes, I would choose the IP. For example, I love the Saw films, so I would always choose Saw, Walking Dead and even Wicker Man, even though it has nothing to do with the film, over the likes of Nemesis. But in terms of storytelling for a ride to an IP I'm not keen on, for example Jurassic Park however, I would choose an original theme.
Okay then. On to overall experiences. Let's chat about Icon. That's a very good ride that doesn't really have a definite theme.
So in my opinion, although Icon doesn't have a particular storyline to follow, it has great presentation, and that is very important to a coaster. Not to mention the great layout.
I agree. Icon may not be the tallest or fastest in the world, but that doesn't stop it. The ride's pacing and amazing with all the twists, hills and inversions.
To those of you who haven't ridden this amazing coaster, I once heard an American get off this ride and say he prefers it to Cheetah Hunt. My favourite part about Icon is the soundtrack. It's such a brilliant masterpiece and the park did a great job. That's another thing as well, soundtracks can really add to an experience and make it more memorable or meaningful, connecting a specific sound to a great roller coaster.
Agreed, the soundtrack is a key part to the experience. You can hear it throughout the area in the park, perfectly captures the experience you'll have on ride. My favourite part is when they have the best part playing in the station as you get closer and closer to riding.
This is one thing that Disney do really well. Disney Imagineers are expertly trained to create an experience that transports you from the real world to the one that they're creating. This is mostly apparent in parks like Magic Kingdom and Epcot, where you can dine like a prince at the royal table or become a guardian of the galaxy on Cosmic Rewind.
Yes, Disney are one of the best out there with upcharged experience, such as building your very own lightsaber in Galaxy's Edge, with incredible actors and theming taking you through the process of making a Jedi Knight's weapon.
I think it's safe to say that overall, it is the general experience that makes a truly good coaster. There is no point having great theming with a boring roller coaster, Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, or having a great layout but not unlocking its true potential through lackluster theming. This could even be just a nicely presented station building. Anything else you want to add?
Now I believe we've spoken about almost all the key factors to what makes a really good roller coaster.
Thanks for listening to our premiere episode of Top Hat Talks.
Goodbye. That's a fair comment. Although looking at Top Thrill 2's That's a fair comment though. Oh my days. That's a cat. That's a cat.
Are you alright?